The first thing you need to do is you need to go to aplusstudents.com. Okay, I'll just highlight it for you. You need to go to the website. And this is the website, aplusstudents.com. This is a lesson for math. We'll be studying maths today. Okay, and the grade is grade 5s. Grade 5. The name of the topic is multiplication. We will be studying rules of multiplication today. And the chapter number is, I'll just give you the chapter number. The chapter number is 11 and the lesson number is 12. So chapter number 11 and the lesson number is 12. The name of the lesson is multiplication. Multiplication, input and output tables. Okay. So let's go to grade 5 maths, chapter number 11 and lesson number 12. Okay. It says multiplication, input and output tables. Okay. So before moving ahead, let's look at what multiplication and multiplication tables can be there. Okay. What we need to remember is we can have vertical tables or we can have horizontal tables. Let's see what is a horizontal and what's a vertical. This is horizontal. Okay, this would be horizontal. Or we can have a vertical table. This would be vertical tables, right? There's not much difference in the values, but it's just the representation of the data. This would be vertical, okay? So let's look at an example. If we have a horizontal table, let's look at a case where we have a horizontal table and what we can do with the horizontal table. Okay, sorry, just a minute, please. Let me copy. If a table is given to us, okay, if this table is given to us, this is a horizontal table. So question number 1, we need to complete the input-output horizontal table. Okay, so input means the value that we are putting in, right? That's the input. The input is 8 and the output we had was 2. That means 8 is being divided by a number. This is being divided by a number to give this answer, right? That number would be, if we put 8 in, 8 is divided by 4 to give a 2. Similarly, the next number, 12, when divided by 4 would give a 3. Agreed? Similarly, if we go the other way around, 6 when multiplied by 4 was 24, or 24 when divided by 4 gave 6. 27 times 4, that means 7 multiplied by 4 is 28, and 28 was divided by 4. So the input was 8. We had an input that was 8 and we wanted to see what would be the output, right? So what we did was, in this case, this was division. Let's look at another case where we might have multiplication. Hi students, welcome to the class. Today we are looking at input-output tables. The input is the number that we put in, right? That's the number, that's a first selection of number. Output is what is the result. So when we see 8 is changed into 2, that means 8 needs to be divided by a number, right? To make it 2. So we can say 8 can be divided by 2, or this was multiplied by 4, right? if I change this table and if I say that if I swap the values, okay, let's swap the values. Let's say we are just moving the values on the opposite sides, right? If I'm just, I'll just highlight this properly. Okay. Okay, I'll just pick up this color. If this is another question that is given to us, let's suppose this is question number 2, and I would reverse the values. If I said input was given as 2, let's use a different color, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, one of the answers was given to us. Okay, this was given as 16, and the remaining values were missing values. This was missing. Okay, this is a missing value, this is a missing value, and this is a missing value for us. What we need to see over here is that once we put 4 as the input, the output came out to be 16, right? That means the number 4 has to be multiplied by a specific number, right? That means 4 is to be multiplied by 4 and we get 16, right? Therefore, all the numbers would be multiplied by 4. All the input values are multiplied by 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 was 12. We knew that 4 times 4 was 16, right? And 5 times 4 became 20. Okay, so this is a horizontal input and output, right, table. We can have the same table in vertical form. When we look at, let's suppose, sorry, just a minute, please. I'll screenshot this. Okay, sorry. I'll just bring it on the other screen. See, the questions that we have is, let's start off with a question. If I would say, they're saying complete the table, rule multiply by 2. Okay, let's see. In this question, what is given to us is this. Let's say this is our question number 3. And what they are saying is, we need to complete the table such that there's a rule given to us. The rule says that each number is multiplied by 2. Let's suppose if the rule was not given to us. If the rule is not given to us, then we need to study the given values. Okay, the rule can be given to us, and sometimes the rule cannot be given to us, right? If it's given to us, the question is very easy for us. But if it's not given to us, then what we need to do is we need to look at the question, and we will see that at one point one input value would be given and one output value will be given to us, right? That means if this was the input and this is the output, when we put in 2, it changes to 4, right? And we already have the rule given to us. That means the input needs to be multiplied by 2. Agreed? So when the input 2 was multiplied by 2, it became a 4. So what should happen to the missing? What should we do for the missing values? See, 0 when multiplied by 2, and the rule for 0 is 0 multiplied by any number stays 0. All the input numbers would be multiplied by 2. 1 multiplied by 2 would be 2, and 3 multiplied by 2 would be 6. Right? This is how we apply the rule of multiplying by 2. We simply have to multiply each input number by the given number, or if the given rule is not given, it's not stated in the question, then what we will do is we will find it through the given value, because 2 and 4 was given to us. Output 4, input 2. That means we knew that it has to be multiplied by 2. Agreed? Okay. Let's try another example and let's see what we can do. For the next example, let's suppose they are saying The question is again rule multiply by 2. Okay, let's put down the question. Okay, and they have a rule that says multiply by 2, and we have a table over here. Let's increase the size of the table so it's easier. For question number 4, they are giving us the rule multiply by 2. That means the input number versus the output number, right? So if the input number is to be multiplied by 2, right, that is already given to us. But in case it was not given to us, so we can see that in the inputs 0, 1, 3, and 5, there is only one input which has an output already given to us. That is 5. When we input the value of 5, it converts into 10. That means we need to multiply 5 by a number to make it 10. That means 5 multiplied by 2 is 10. That means each input number will be multiplied by a 2. And we can find the missing input numbers. So the missing input number would be 0 multiplied by any number stays as a 0, right? 1 multiplied by 2 stays as the same number because 1 is being multiplied by any number, stays the same. Okay, stays that particular number. 3 multiplied by 2 would be 6, right? So can we say we found the missing values through the rule over here that each number that is in the input column was multiplied by 2 to find the output numbers. Okay, any questions up till now? Do we have any questions? Okay, let's move ahead to the next question. Okay, so we have the next question that says we need to complete the table, and let's see what happens to each number over here. This is our question number 5, and what they are asking us is complete the table, and they gave us the rule over here that we need to multiply by 2. If the rule was not given to us, then what we can do is we can study the one value where the input and the output, both the values would be given. This is a set of values where both the values are given to us, right? So we can say that if we input 3 and we get 6 as an output, then 3 should be multiplied by 2 to get a 6 as an output, right? That means each number in the input would be multiplied by 2. And what would be the missing values? 0 multiplied by 2 stays a 0. 3 multiplied by 2 was already given, that is 6. 4 multiplied by 2 becomes 8. And 5 multiplied by 2 is 10. So by studying the given value, we can always complete the grid. We can always find the output values. Okay. Moving ahead to the next question. Okay. Let's see what we have over here. We'll try to not focus on the given rule. Okay. We'll try to ignore the given rule for a second. Okay. Let's suppose this rule we are trying to ignore. This is question number 6. What we need to see over here is if 1 was the input, we do not know the output, right? If 5 was the input, we don't know the output. We don't know the output. We do not know the output. We do not. But there is only one case where we know the output, right? That was 9 is the input and 9 is the output. 9 is not changing, right? That means this 9 was multiplied by a number that is 1. and we got 9 as the output. That means if one of the input numbers is being multiplied by 1, then all of the input numbers will be multiplied by 1. Okay, 1 multiplied by 1 would stay as 1, 5 multiplied by 1 becomes 5, and 8 multiplied by 1 was 8. Okay, since this was already given to us. Agreed? We can ignore the rule. We are just trying to ignore the given rule because we are trying to find ourselves what it should be multiplied by, what should be the multiplicative value, right? What should be the number that it should be multiplied by? Either we take the information that is given in the question, or by looking at the question, we can always find the number that is multiplying to give the output. Let's have a look at the next question. Okay, let's suppose if we have question number 7, and question number 7 says complete the table, and they've already given us the rule. Okay, so we need to look at which set of values are given to us. We can say that 4 and 8, 4 as the input and 8 as the output, this pair of values is given to us, right? How do we change 4 into 8? We multiply by 2, and that is already the rule given to us. We multiply the input by 2 to make it 8. That means each of these numbers would be multiplied by 2. 2 multiplied by 2 would be 4. 3 multiplied by 2 is 6. And 5 multiplied by 2 is 10. And that's how we complete the table. Okay. So these are all vertical tables, right? Horizontal, we saw the horizontal table. This example was a horizontal table. And these questions 3, 4, 5 onwards are vertical tables for us. Okay. So any questions till now? Do we have any question? Okay, I'll change something in this question. The next question, I'll change it a bit. Okay, so that it's more interesting for us. Let's say the next question, the multiplication rule is given to us, question number 8. I will try to change the rule. Okay, I would say that let's multiply by 3, and we would have 12 given over here. Okay, so what we need to look at is either we read the rule or we find the answers ourselves, right? What we can do is 4 and 12 are given to us. In order to change 4 into a 12, what do we need to multiply it with? We need to multiply it by 3. 4 multiplied by 3 would be 12. Agreed? Let's try to find the missing values. 0 would also be multiplied by 3 because all the input numbers are multiplied by the same number. This is multiplied by 3 and this is also multiplied by 3. So 0 multiplied by any number would be a 0. 6 multiplied by 3 is 18. And we know the rule of multiplying a number with ending with 0. 3 multiplied by 1 was 3 and there was 1 0. We simply put 1 0 over here. Okay. So what we did was we changed the rule of multiplication and we made a new question out of it. Okay. So let's go back. Let's look at another question. Okay. The next question we have is, it says complete the table, rule multiply by 1. And the rule that we have is multiply by 1. This is our question number 9. The rule is already given to us. We need to look at the value which is already given. When 9 is multiplied by 1, it stays as 9. Agreed? And we have some values which are missing over here. These are the missing values. So can we say that if one of the input number was multiplied by 1, then all the input numbers would be multiplied by 1? Agreed? 2 multiplied by 1 would be 2. 3 multiplied by 1 would be 3. And 10 multiplied by 1 is 10. Because all these answers are multiplied by 1 because the only given set of value, that was input 9 equals to output 9. This was given to us, which gave us the proof that each number is being multiplied by 1. Okay. Moving ahead with the next question. Okay, let's change the rule for this. Complete the table. It's very simple. It's being multiplied by 1. I'll just try to change the rule, okay? So that we have more interesting questions to be done, okay? If this was given to us, this is question number 10. And I change the rule and I say multiply by 4. Okay? And if I say this given value was 20. So what we can say is, even if this rule was not given to us, right? We could have studied 5 and 20. But what they did was, in the question, they have given us the rule. So let's look at the rule over here. 5 and 20 are given to us. That means when 5 was the input, the output should be 20. That means 5 would be multiplied by 4 to give a 20. That means if one input is being multiplied by 4, then all the inputs will be multiplied by 4. Okay. And let's find the answers. What is 4 times 4? That would be, yes, 16. What is 6 times 4? 24. And 7 times 4 is, 7 multiplied by 4 is 28. So with the help of the given values, we can also find the rule, or we simply follow the rule and we multiply each number by a 4. Okay. This is easy right now because we are doing multiplication. The rule will change. The question will become more difficult when we would doing the other way around, when we would be doing division. Okay. So for now, we are just looking at multiplication. Okay. For the next question, I'm going to change the rule. Okay. I am trying to change the rule so that we have a better question. Okay. The rule given is multiply by 10. Let's suppose if I say this is rule is given as multiply by 10 and this was a 100. This is question number 11. We know that when the input 10 was multiplied by 10, because the rule is multiply by 10, we got 100 as the output. Agreed? And this is a given pair of values for us, 10 and 100. Right? If the rule was not given, then again what we can say is 10 should be multiplied by a number to make it 100. So what should be that number? That number would be 10. So if one of the input numbers is multiplied by 10, then all of the input numbers will be multiplied by 10. Agreed? So the answers would become 2 multiplied by 10 is 2 multiplied by 1 is 2. We put 1 0. 3 multiplied by 1 is 3. And we put a 0. 4 multiplied by 1 is 4. And we put down a 0. Agreed? Okay, let's try to make the question more interesting. Similar question, and we will change the table to a bigger number. We did 10. Now let's try with a different number. Complete the table. The rule is given to us. Let's see if this table was given to us. Okay, let's see what can be done in this question. Question number 12 says multiply by 11. And this becomes 110. Okay, if this is the total question that is given to us, right? And what we need to do over here is we need to find the rule and we need to see what the numbers should be multiplied with. It says the rule for multiplication is by multiply by 11. We know that these two values are given to us. 10 input changes into 110. That means this was multiplied by 11. If one of the input is multiplied by 11, then all of the input values would be multiplied by 11 by the same number, right? Let's try to find the answers. What is 2 multiplied by 11? The easiest way to solve 2 multiplied by 11 is, we know that 11 is 10 plus 1. 2 multiplied by 10 is 20, and 2 multiplied by 1 was 2. 20 plus 2 is 22. The same goes for 6 multiplied by 11. 6 multiplied by 10 is 60. And 6 multiplied by 11 would be 66. 7 multiplied by 10 is 70. And 7 multiplied by 11 would be 77, right? Just because one of the values was given to us, one input versus one output was given to us, we can also find the rule. Sometimes they might not give us the rule and they would ask us to solve the question. So if the rule is not given, then we study the given values. Okay, then we have to look at the given values to see exactly what we need to do. Okay, multiply by 1 is still very easy. Okay, let's say for the next question, for this particular question, let's change the rule. And let's say it was given as multiply by 1. We change it to multiply by 5. Okay, let's make it multiply by 5. This is our question number 13. Okay, so this should become 25 as the given value. So let's study the diagram, the table. These two values are given to us, right? That says 5 should be multiplied by a number 5 to make it 25. Agreed? And the rule is still there. So what should we do? If we multiply one input by a 5, then all the input numbers would be multiplied by the same number, that is 5. So what would be the output? The output of these numbers would be 2 multiplied by 5 would be 10. 3 multiplied by 5 is 15. The next value, that is 5 multiplied by 5, is already given to us, right? And the last one would be 10 multiplied by 5 would be, we know the rule for multiplying numbers ending with a 0. 5 multiplied by 1 is 5. There was 1 0, we just simply put a 0. So our concern, our main requirement is to find what number is this table being multiplied with? What number are we multiplying the input to get the output? If it's given, it's very good for us, very easy for us. But if it's not given to us, then we look at the values where the answers are given. If 5 and 25 was given to us, then we know that 5 needs to be multiplied by 5 to make it 25. If one number is multiplied by 5, then all the numbers are multiplied by 5. Okay? Let's do a few more, then we do the test, because these are simple. Okay. This is a bit tricky. What they did was they missed a value. They removed, okay, they gave us the answer for the easiest number. Okay. But let's suppose in this case, if the rule was not given to us, right, then we would not be able to solve this question. Why? Because 0 multiplied by 1 is also 0, 0 multiplied by 2 is 0, or 0 multiplied by 1 million is still a 0, right? So we do not know 0 needs to be multiplied by which number. So in this particular question, the rule has to be given to us. Okay, we have to follow the rule, and it says multiply by 2. That means if 0 was multiplied by 2, it still stayed as an output 0. But if one input is multiplied by 2, that means all the input values would be multiplied by 2, right? So in this particular case, we need to know the rule. That becomes 1 multiplied by 2 would be 2, 4 multiplied by 2 would be 8, and 5 multiplied by 2 would be 10. So for these input values, we found the output values. Okay, that's good. Moving ahead, I will change the values in this next question. Let's make it a little interesting for you. Okay. Okay. For the next question we have is this input output. Let's see what we can do. I will change this number and I will change this number. I would say multiply by 7, and I would say this is 21. This is question number 15. So when we look at the rule over here, can we say that 3 is multiplied by a number to make it 21? 3 should be multiplied by what number to make it 21? Which is already given in the question. 3 should be multiplied by 7 to make it 21. Agreed? 3 multiplied by 7 is 21. So this means that each of the input number has to be multiplied by 7. Right? So what is 0 multiplied by 7, 1 multiplied by 7, and 5 multiplied by 7? So what is 0 multiplied by 7? We know the rule that if 0 is multiplied by any number, it stays as a 0. 1 multiplied by any number, it stays as the same number. So it was 7 multiplied by 1, it stays the 7. And 5 multiplied by 7 is, yes, 35. Okay. So with one given rule, we were able to complete the table because 3 and 21 was given to us. So we know that 3 multiplied by 7 is 21. Then all the input numbers will be multiplied by 7 to find the output numbers. Okay, let's try one more. Okay, the same rule they are saying multiply by 2. Let's change some values over here. Okay, I would just change some values in this question so that we have a little more difficult question. Multiplying by 2 would be very easy, right? So let's say question number 16. If I just change multiply by 2 into another number and I say multiply by 8, okay? So we have changed the question. So once we change the question, we have to make a change over here, right? We need to write 32. This should be given to us because the rule is multiply by 8. So looking at this grid, we know that these two values were given to us. Changing the input 4 into 32 would mean we multiply the number 4 by 8, it becomes 32. That means each number in the input would be multiplied by the same number, that is 8. Agreed? Can we find the missing numbers? 0 multiplied by 8 should be 0 multiplied by 8 should be a 0 because it's being multiplied as 0. 2 multiplied by 8 would be 16, and 5 multiplied by 8 should be 40. Okay, so this is the basic multiplication where we are looking or where we are trying to find the rule how to complete the tables. Okay, let's try some questions. Let's do one or two more, then we'll do from the test. Okay, so because test would be quite easy for this. Question number 16. For those who are having any problems, please put up your questions so that I may explain it again wherever you're having a problem, because we want this to be easy for us, right? So this is our question number 17, and the rule says multiply by 2. So we know that this is a given pair of values. That means the input 2 when multiplied by 2 should be equals to the output 4. Therefore, each number in the input would be multiplied by 2. Can we have the answers? So what would be the answers? Yes, 2. 1 multiplied by 2 is 2. 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. And 5 multiplied by 2 was 10, right? Okay, let's try the test. Let's do the questions from the test. I'll just give a heading over here for the test. You would have the same questions. Kindly log into the test. So the first question we have for the test is complete the table. Rule is given to us and two pairs of values are given to us. Okay, I'll just resize this. Complete the table. The rule is given to us. This is our question number 1 from the test. I'll resize the table and I'll resize the given answers. So we have two options. Either we go for option A or option B. So which option should be the correct answer, A or B? The rule is already given to us. Multiply by 2. So 0 multiplied by any number, even if it's 2, it stays as 0, right? So what should be the remaining 3 values over here? That means if one input was multiplied by 2, then the all values of input should be multiplied by 2. Agreed? And the answer should be 097 or 2810. Option A or option B? Which option should be the correct answer? We know that this becomes 2, this becomes 8, and this becomes 10. So when we compare these options, it cannot start with a 0. So we say this is not correct. And the second option is the correct option for us, right? That would be 2, 8, and 10. So let's click on 2, 8, 10. We go to the next question. The next question states that complete the table. The rule is given to us and the values are given to us. Okay. For question number 2, I'll try to remove the rule. We would try to do it without the given rule. Okay. This is given. This is not given, let's suppose. And these values were given to us. Okay. So this is question number 2. Which option should be the correct answer, A or B? The first thing we need to do is we need to look at the set of values which are given to us. So which values are given to us? These two values are given to us. This pair of values is given to us. The number 2 in the input changes to 4. How can we change 2 into 4? We multiply 2 by a number, and that number should be 2. That means if one of the numbers is being multiplied by 2, then everything is multiplied by 2, right? That means 0 multiplied by 2 is 0. We can see where only this is beginning with a 0, this is not beginning with a 0, right? That means this is not true. Even we do not, sometimes we do not have to complete the question. We just need to keep in mind what the options are available, right? The option had to begin with a 0, but the option B has a 5 in the beginning. That cannot be the answer, right? So what we can do is we can confirm 2 multiplied by 1 was 2, and this was 6, so 0 to 6. That means option number A is the correct answer for this given table. Okay. The next question we have is complete the table, and the options given are here. Okay, let's see if the rule is missing for us. If we remove the rule, what should happen to the question? Let me just resize. Okay, these are the two options. We remove the rule. We do not need the rule, and let's resize. And they're asking us to complete the table for question number 3. And the two options given are option A and option B. So the given values in this table are 4 and 4. That means the input 4 gives an output 4. That means there is no change. When what number should a number be multiplied for no change? It should stay the same. Yes, it should be multiplied by a 1. That means each number is in the input is multiplied by 1. 0 multiplied by 1, 6 multiplied by 1, and 10 multiplied by 1. And we know that 0 multiplied by any number is always 0, right? Because 1 multiplied by this any number would be. Okay. Thank you, Semi. That means it stays 0. That means option B, A is the correct option. Okay. I know this was quite easy, but we have to move on. We have to do from the basics. We have to keep on revising. Okay. Let's do one more question. Okay. The next question says, can I have the answer? The rule is given to us. And question number 4 states that complete the table, and the rule is given by multiply by 2. So what should be the answer for question number 4? Nate, can I have the answer? Option A or option B? The rule is multiply by 2. Since the first input number was 0, then this should start with the 0, right? It cannot begin with 5. That means option B is the correct answer. This is 0, 2, and 6, okay? Becca, let's focus here, okay? These are simple questions. You just need to find the pattern. We did a few questions for the practice and we did 4 questions from the quiz, right? There's just 15 questions, right? 11 more left. Please try those questions, okay? And then we'll continue with the topic, okay? So you take care. Have a nice day. Take care.